Hi, Elliot Rodger here.
Today, on the Shadows of the Internet, we examine one of the darkest turning points in YouTube history. A story that began with isolation, spiraled into hatred, and ended in horror.
I heard a gunshot, so I was like, I had no idea that it was a pistol at all.
This is the case of Elliot Rodger, a young man whose online rants would ignite a subculture of rage, violence, and radicalization, and whose name, even a decade later, still echoes in some of the darkest corners of the web. Elliot Oliver Robertson Rodger was born on July 24, 1991 in Lambeth, London, England. The son of a filmmaker and a research assistant, Elliot's early years were marked by privilege, international travel, and eventually a move to Los Angeles, California. By all outward appearances, Elliot came from a life of opportunity. His father, Peter Rodger, worked on blockbuster films like The Hunger Games. His grandfather was the legendary photojournalist George Rodger, but behind the scenes, Elliot struggled with profound mental and emotional challenges. Diagnosed with a form of autism spectrum disorder in 2007, Elliot spent much of his youth in therapy. From a young age, he was withdrawn, socially anxious, and painfully self-conscious, particularly about his inability to connect with girls. It was this obsession with romantic rejection that would come to define his identity, both offline and online.
Instead of me, the supreme gentleman.
In his late teens and early 20s, Elliot turned to YouTube, not for creativity, but for catharsis. On his now deleted channel, he posted dozens of vlogs, his tone bitter, his message disturbing. He spoke of loneliness, of being a virgin at 22, of his belief that women had conspired to reject him, all while dressed in designer clothes, seated in luxury cars, and flashing signs of wealth he believed should have made him desirable.
This is the reason why I hate the world.
His videos were raw but not artistic, more like confessions from someone unraveling, and yet no one fully grasped how dangerous that unraveling would become. Behind the scenes, Elliot was planning something he referred to in private writings as retribution. On the evening of May 23, 2014, Elliot Rodger carried out one of the most chilling and premeditated killing sprees in modern American history, a rampage that he would later describe as retribution. It began shortly before 9:30 p.m. inside his own apartment in Isla Vista, a college town near the University of California, Santa Barbara. Rodger's first victims weren't strangers. They were his own roommates and a visiting friend. Using two large hunting knives, he stabbed and killed Sheng Yan Hung, George Chen, and Weihan Wang, all students, all just 19 and 20 years old. The scene investigators later uncovered was gruesome, silent, and methodical. There were no signs of struggle. The attack had likely occurred hours earlier, a calculated first step in a much larger plan. After murdering his roommates in cold blood, Rodger left the apartment and got into his black BMW coupe. Inside the car was a small arsenal, 3 semi-automatic handguns, all legally purchased, and over 400 rounds of ammunition. His next stop was the Alpha Phi sorority house. Just before 9:35 p.m., Rodger approached the front door and banged aggressively, hoping to be let inside. When no one answered, he turned toward the street, where he saw 3 young women standing nearby. Without warning, he raised his handgun and opened fire. Veronica Weiss and Catherine Cooper, both 22-year-old USCB students, were killed instantly. A third woman was critically wounded but survived. None of them had ever met Rodger. From there, he drove a few blocks away to Isla Vista Deli Mart, where 20-year-old Christopher Michael Martinez was inside shopping. Rodger parked, exited the car, and opened fire through the glass storefront. Christopher, an only child and English major, was struck and killed. The violence continued as Rodger returned to his car and began weaving through the streets of Isla Vista, now randomly firing at pedestrians, striking cyclists with his vehicle, and exchanging gunfire with police. In total, 14 people were injured, several shot, others hit by his speeding car as he drove through red lights and intersections at dangerous speeds. One of the bullets grazed his own hip during a shootout with responding officers. His rampage ended shortly before 9:40 p.m. when he crashed into a parked vehicle. Police found him slumped over the wheel, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. But Rodger didn't just commit this horrible, vile act, he choreographed it. Just hours before the attack, he uploaded a video to his YouTube channel titled Elliot Rodger's Retribution. In it, he sat in the driver's seat of his BMW, smiling eerily as he described in chilling detail
It's the day of retribution.
how he planned to punish women for rejecting him, and punish men who had the kind of romantic and sexual lives he believed he deserved. He said,
I'll take great pleasure in slaughtering all of you. You will finally see that I am, in truth, the superior one. The true alpha male.
he closed the video with the words,
After I've annihilated every single girl in the sorority house, I'll take to the streets of Isla Vista and slay every single person I see there.
Simultaneously, he emailed a 137-page manifesto to over a dozen people, including family members, a therapist, and several acquaintances. The document, titled My Twisted World, read like a toxic blend of autobiography, delusion, and rage. In it, Rodger recounted his life in disturbing detail. From his childhood grievances and adolescent insecurities to his growing hatred of women, his obsession with status, and his envy of other men. He railed against interracial couples, criticized his own friends, and declared that society had wronged him by denying him sex and love. He outlined the killings, even naming specific people he intended to target, and described his plan to spark what he called a day of retribution. This was not just a confession. This was a manifesto of misogynistic terrorism, crafted to be read, remembered, and in his eyes, admired. Elliot Rodger is not just a story of personal tragedy or failed mental health intervention. His is a cautionary tale about the internet, about what happens when loneliness festers in isolation, when communities form around hate, and when platforms amplify the voices of the disturbed instead of deplatforming them.
And that's a declaration of war. If it's war you want, then war you shall have.
His original YouTube channel, Valtharion, was eventually removed, but in 2022 it was hacked, briefly reactivated with bizarre videos before being taken down again. Yet his legacy lives on, not because it should, but because no one stopped it from spreading in the first place. The case of Elliot Rodger reminds us of the power and the peril of digital platforms. He was not a martyr. He was not a misunderstood genius. He was a cold-blooded killer, and the internet helped him become a symbol of something vile. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or harboring thoughts of violence, please reach out. There is help. There is another way. This has been The Shadows of the Internet, where we explore the stories behind the screens and the consequences that ripple out from clicks, views, and silence. If this story moved you or opened your eyes, consider subscribing. We release a new episode every Wednesday. Until next time, please stay aware and stay safe. In memory of the victims of the Isla Vista tragedy, may their stories never be overshadowed.
I don't know why you girls are not attracted to me. I'm the perfect guy. I'm magnificent.